You got a story the world needs to hear, a spark inside that's crystal clear. No more hiding in the digital crowd. It's time to stand up, speak out loud. Every dream starts with a single sound. Your message matters, let it resound. The spotlight's waiting, the mic is yours. Step into the moment, open the doors. Your voice, your vision, your stage. Turn the page, ignite the rage. From whispers to waves, let your truth engage. Your voice, your vision, your stage.
Your voice, your vision, your stage. Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. We are coming out of, well, at least I'm coming out of holiday hibernation. Some of you have already been active. This is my first live stream for the year. I've tested and tested and tested in preparation for this kickoff show. And I can't find myself streaming on LinkedIn. So we're going to try to troubleshoot this in real time. But in the meantime, I want to take a moment to welcome everyone to our studio, our first show of the year, Your Voice, Your Vision, Your Stage, which will be coming to you alternating weeks, opposing the show that I host on Thursday evenings with Jay Pasqua, The Storytelling Journey. So I'm excited. We have a wonderful guest to kick us off today, Nicole Borghi, who is also in the event coordination space. And I thought this was so appropriate to kick off the live streaming with a peer, a colleague in the same landscape. Now, before we bring her up on stage, we are streaming, at least I believe we're streaming across LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack. And as I mentioned, we're going to try to troubleshoot this in real time because this is what live stream can happen. This is what happens during live streams. These are great events and really test how you respond on your feet. So we are also, hey, you know what? Enough about what the alsos. Let's bring Nicole up here, and I'm going to try to troubleshoot her while she's on stage with me. Nicole, you back there?
I'm here.
All right,
Yes.
let's bring you up. There she is. Welcome to the show. Let me turn my camera on. Dun, da, da, da. Drum roll, please. Here we are. All right, welcome to the stage. It is a pleasure to have you as we host our first show for 2026. Before we get started, why don't you share with us who you are, what you're up to, the community and businesses that you serve, as I try to troubleshoot this.
Sure. And I do see you on a LinkedIn. I see it on your page. So just to let you know, and
All
we're
right, so that's
both streaming.
awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know. It's been an issue today with the tech. But so thank you for having me so much. It's an honor to be here. And I'm Nicole Borghi. I'm known as the Digital Diva. And what do I do? I work with digital productions, and I'm an event host and coordinator. And today I even had an event. So summits and podcast and oh my, so many things going on. But basically what I do is I assist leaders really to leverage events as a marketing engine, not a performance, and how do they rise and shine to that. But part of that is come from an area in my heart with For a Cause Marketing to share with raising events and also raising funds for a cause marketing for whatever you're supporting, and that's what I do.
That is fantastic. So we now confirm that we are streaming live across LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack. So we're hoping that your message and this conversation today supports and resounds across all ecosystems. And for those joining on Team Live, as well as those joining on Team Replay, if you have questions, feel free to engage in the comments. Let's take a moment now to welcome some of our guests who are listening. So, hello, as people are coming in, we have some Kenny, Meryl Cass, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. And I'll, throughout the show, I will look to acknowledge any questions that anyone may have for Lisa, and we'll be able to answer those questions in real time. Now, before we get started, I want to take a moment here and focus on something, zero in on something that caught my attention when the two of us connected. Your headline on your LinkedIn profile: gain clients and the visibility that you deserve by hosting virtual summits. So we're going to jump into the virtual summit conversation and how that differs from other virtual events. But here's where the bell sounded: get seen and get heard. That was part of my mantra. It was get seen, get heard, and be remembered in 2025. So the two of us are aligned, and I thought, what better way to kick off the year than to bring someone on stage and spotlight and share the visions that we align with. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And we do, we both run virtual events, and what a way to say we do a little bit different, but how can we push the envelope a little bit more, and to share the ease of running an event, and the greatness of what it is to have an event. It's a container on a virtual event, right? It's a wonderful marketing platform. We're here today marketing on social media without having to run ads, and we're
That's
just
right.
sharing it, and we're sharing it across our channels. So what a blessing to be able to do this and to reach a larger scale, and to say, hey, these events get you seen, they get you heard, and there's a way to get paid through it. Through running your own event, and to taking control of the audience and the aligned audience you want to talk to.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I can't wait to dive into the questions. And I purposely, and I tell everyone, I tried to make this as conversational as possible. And as a result, you were not given any of the questions in advance. And that's done on purpose because I believe strongly that if I'm spotlighting someone and we're speaking about their area of expertise, nothing should really be rehearsed. And that's a great way to demonstrate to people how live events should work, because you want to sound conversational. If you're focusing on building trust, it shouldn't sound mechanical. Wouldn't you agree?
I do. There's things you want to practice, your poise, what you're coming in with, how you look in that little square box. Practice those things. Your lighting, where you're at. Maybe a little backup on the Wi-Fi or the energy. Those things you want to have set aside a plan B. But you should be able to have a conversation as an adult, and it's the engagement that people are just looking for right now. So much people are searching for engagement and connection. And if you have all the answers to the test, then it's no fun.
That is correct. Answers to the test. Well, it was fun during our academic years. If we can get our hands on the questions and the answers, that was, you were cool back then. But now,
Oh,
not so much.
yeah. Yeah, you were the cool kid if you could pass around the answers to the test. I remember those. Yeah, what am I going to do? What am I studying? What class am I in today? Oh, we have a test. I haven't been in the class in a month. What are we doing now? Whoops.
All right, let's jump into this because I'm excited to hear what you have to share, as well as thoughts from the audience throughout the show. Now, your tagline says, as I mentioned, you don't need more noise, you need a spotlight. What inspired that perspective, and how does it shape the way you help businesses and entrepreneurs?
For me, it started when I was working in the metaverse and in virtual reality a few years back, and seeing that, hey, you got to get on all these social media platforms, and we were selling some AI programs for social media for people to market their events within the virtual reality scope and how to use it as a small business. And it was like just throw everything everywhere and then just do a whole bunch of AI and it's taken care of. Well, are you really getting seen if you're not engaging? If you're everywhere all the time, it's just like a niche or your avatar. If you serve everyone, you serve no one. And if you're scattered and you're all over the place, it's too much. And who's got control of it? Are you paying for someone to get on your social media? Are you using a bot? Is it engaging? Is that engagement? If you're posting and ghosting, people are just giving a heart and liking it. There's no comments. Like looking in your chat right now, there's several people commenting, saying hello, enjoying the video, and here to support. What a great community. If you get on one stage, you're talking to so many people and you can repurpose the video. So you're talking to people live, you're talking to people on a recording. There's one place that you can share all of that marketing and that message. If you hone in your message, it's kind of rinse and repeat. But stay in a place where you're comfortable and you're going to get seen and heard. And really, I would say stop sending people to pages that you're not going to engage with them, because you're not serving yourself at all.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. At one point, I was guilty of competing with myself. With my written content had to be different, and in my mind, I had to be show up with a different message. And there's evergreen content that comes out of these conversations, and the social proof from real conversations. This is where trust is being built. So whether you're launching a product, just having a fireside chat, or just trying to nurture and build your community, you don't need to come up with content constantly. Like we hear, show up consistently. Well, it doesn't have to be a new level of consistency. It can stem from these events. This show will be repurposed. It will create content on Substack, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. There will be shorts. There'll be articles. It'll be part of my email campaign, and listen, it makes things easier for us, right? Going live doesn't mean you go live and it's over and done with. There's just so much you can do to continue that momentum, to continue that conversation, and to continue to build trust once your live event has come to an end.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, it's you're busy. It's again, you're busy being busy. You're just busy getting out there for the sake of getting out there. And that doesn't work. But the other thing where you're talking about repurposing an evergreen, your workflow and your lead magnet should be evergreen and usable. Maybe you just need to change a title and hit a different group of people. But part of that is you really should know your audience, and your audience wants to trust that you're bringing value. And if you're saying something different every day and your message is inconsistent, then you're not serving anybody. And people are like, hey, I don't know, yesterday you thought Facebook was the best, and today you think it's X or Twitter, and tomorrow you're telling everybody to get off of Facebook and take a vacation from it. So where's your message lie in that? And you want to say that. I mean, I say all the time, I serve entrepreneurs. I want them to work the stage. You're your best marketing tool. And
Absolutely.
and so I say it all the time ad nauseum. Sometimes you get tired of hearing yourself, but your audience doesn't. And so when you start to do that, and that way you can work, even if you're a little tired, maybe you're a little overwhelmed, you got a crazy life going on at home, you could still show up and shine, and your message, you practice it.
Yeah, very good, excellent points. You touched on people and business owners alike are busy being busy, and sometimes those business owners feel invisible. Because they're spinning their wheels online and they're just spewing content, and despite doing all that, they don't hear anything. They don't feel that return on investment. Why do you believe that hosting summits is a game changer for visibility and authority?
Well, if you're hosting summits, you're bringing several people in the room. And yeah, sometimes they don't got on camera. And today, just with the summit we had, it's a different pivot. And I heard so many wonderful things, and I got some great testimonials that someone just sent in an email that I was reading before I got on. And it was, hey, thanks for the engagement. So you can have one too many, one person on a stage, a message too many. And the great thing about a virtual summit is that you should have aligned speakers that are, you know, if we had to today was for soul-led individuals that are working to go from invisible, like we're talking here, to go to really influential by the consistency and the drive in their business and talk to so many people. And in order to influence them, you've got to show up and shine, just like we were talking about. But you put that all in one place, and they're talking to an aligned audience about how to influence. And influencing doesn't mean you just bought 10,000 likes on your YouTube, and it doesn't mean that you're doing some dance off on TikTok. I mean, I'm sure they'd pay me not to do that, right? This is crazy. Maybe I'd start a comedy career, break a hip or something, but that's to say that you can show up, you can talk to several people, you get the recording, and you're talking to the audience, you're engaging. We give Q&A, we do speaker panels, and what a great way to say, hey, we get to engage, and it's going to take a little time to build the audience to get to understand that they're just not watching a random video, and to hide that they can come on camera and be heard as well. And as you do that, as you craft the community, that community starts to react to you and starts to follow you, and they're listening to that wonderful message that you just shared.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I want to pause here and address Nicole's comments. She feels hard pressed to advise people which platforms to be more or less active on. Her experience is subjective, and like most of us, our experience is subjective. My expertise does not do well on TikTok. I can assure you of that. You don't want to see me in a mankini dancing around to get attention on TikTok. It just does not work. And to copy and paste my persona and my tone in areas that do work and transpose those to areas that don't work, you're doing yourself a disservice. So it's okay to back out. And I did that last year. I backed out of TikTok. I backed out of Facebook. My Facebook business page just had zero traction. And my X profile, gone. And yesterday I made the decision to pause Blue Sky. Like, it's just, there's no point in showing up where you're just being tolerated, right? You want to be appreciated. You want to bring value. And if you're not bringing value, then you might be doing yourself a disservice, despite, you know, what the top voices, the Gary V's, who say you got to be on all the platforms. It's like, well, we don't have a team like Gary V does and those top voices where we can be everywhere. And it doesn't happen. So focus and dial in on where your community is or where you believe your community is. And if you're driving value, they will show up, they will stick around.
You know, exactly, because if it, my people and we met together on LinkedIn. That's how we talked. We got on a call. We realized that we have, you know, we're doing the same drive. We're working kind of towards the same goal, and to give people, get them on the stage, to turn on the camera and get out there and really use the visibility. And like you said, yeah, I don't have a Gary V crew that's going to go in there and cut the thumbnails for everything, or cut the video exactly that drives the algorithm. And I don't have a team that's going to go in there and comment. And I don't have a team that's going to check. So, you know, if you're not at that point where you have that, concentrate where you are. I mean, if you don't like cheeseburgers and you're a vegan, don't go to the steakhouse, right? Get steak or get a cheeseburger. Don't go over there. You're gonna go to a place where you feel welcomed as a vegan,
Absolutely.
right? You
Absolutely.
know? And I'm not going to look for a Caesar salad or just a regular salad if I want a steak dinner. And go where your people are, and they're gonna value your message. That doesn't mean, though, the caveat to that is really, even further, if they're all beating the same drum, if they're all saying the exact same thing, you don't wanna copy and paste. You wanna just pivot a little bit and just kinda stay out of your zone just a little bit, so you can be a disruptor, so people can see, "Oh, that's different. I want that. I like that. I need that." It's just a little bit different, it's a little bit more unique, maybe it's a little bit spicier, but it's gonna disrupt that pattern and maybe you have a better connection.
Yeah, absolutely. I listen. Another thing that I felt was important to demonstrate, and I've done it in 2025, and I will continue to do it in 2026. People frown on bringing what they describe as competitors. Why do you have a competitor on the show? Listen, I don't see you as a competitor. I see you as a collaborative partner. There are going to be events that might be over my head or outside of my wheelhouse that I might not have either the capacity, the knowledge, or the wherewithal to run a summit versus an interview style or a product launch. And it's important and to get the message out that it's okay to host events with people who are in the same vertical as you are or industry, because we're perhaps in different verticals, but we're in the same industry, the event space. So thank you for being part of that.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's awesome. Hey, look, I'm in virtual reality, or I have my way that I host my events. You have your way that you host yours. Maybe one of us is selling a Toyota, the other is selling a Rolls Royce, right? You're not going to see them all in a lot unless they're, a used car lot. You might, but is somebody going to come in and buy? So everybody needs something a little bit different, and we see a lot of cookie cutter, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, competition. I don't need to see a sneak peek to see exactly what you're doing, but I may think that, "Oh, that's a good idea. I might like that," but I would try it perhaps in a different manner. A green shirt versus a pink shirt or something a little bit different, same style. And the audience may need something else, and that's okay. When we came into when I first started coming into virtual reality, not everybody wants to get in there, but part of that, the education portion of that, which is near and dear to my heart, started because you had to train people to understand it, just like Zoom. You had to train people to understand it. Not everybody's going to want to do it. They might try it. They might not want to do it for the whole event. They might just want a little taste of it. And they might go, "Ooh, I don't like that." Maybe they don't jive with me, they jive with you, right? That's okay, but we're still on two separate corners. You got a shell and a chevron, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about those differences. So you position yourself as the summit, the go-to person or the expert in summits. Let's dive into this because there are many people who manifest this idea. I want to go live, but I wouldn't do it by myself. This whole monologue style live event isn't for me. I think it'll be a flop. If I had someone, and now you take it to a whole different level. It's that panel. Let's talk. Let's talk about summits. What are the difference between summits and what others in the virtual event space do?
Well, so for me, I started doing was a panel discussion because there's some people that were having fireside chats, and I thought, oh, I like that, but I'm not necessarily into what your kitten is or what your favorite color is. I don't. I'm not in that. What Because professionals are who are speaking on my stage. They're entrepreneurs, and I want to honor them where they're at. They've joined my stage so they can share basically a call to action, but also have audience engagement. And when they do that, I want to honor them and just learn a little bit more about, hey, what do you talk about at the water cooler? Not the gossip, but that's not that summit, right? But what do you talk about when you're with your coworker like us here? We're talking summits. I love it. I love events. And what do we talk about? People kind of want to hear what do we talk about that's a little bit different, maybe something that we haven't looked at, and it sparks people their curiosity, and they want to learn more. And as well as a speaker panel, I do questions with a speaker, kind of like a round robin. We go around asking certain questions a little bit more about their business, kind of get to know them and their business, not the cookie cutter. I didn't send you an email with specific questions you have to ask me, and I never sent an email that said you can't ask me this, because I'm grown enough to know that, hey, I might not want to answer that. That's okay.
Yeah.
So we honored that and came here together and said, hey, so with that speaker panel, that's exactly what we're doing. But giving the audience a chance to network and connect with the speakers, because if you get a little bit of juice of what the speaker's saying, now you're going to come and watch them, or you're going to stay for the full event. Hey, I connected to that speaker. I want to hear what Bob has to say. I want to hear what John has to say. I want to hear what whoever has to say, because that's interesting. Or I want to book an appointment with them, because people give a lead magnet away and we go, oh gosh, another giveaway, boring. But yeah, you're getting on their list. They're giving you the valuable. They're giving you that permission to connect with them. How about that, people sign up for your gift and then they forget who you are, but if they had a conversation with you, they're like, "Yeah, that person made me laugh. I really like what they're doing today, so I'm gonna join them a little bit more." So it kind of balances everybody and it brings back engagement. And that's what a lot of us are looking for.
Yeah, engagement is key, and let's pause here for a moment to share and thank Monica for being part of the engaged audience. Partnerships are key to increasing reach, especially when your partner has the audience's trust. Now, I'm going to pause there because this is another vital piece. While I might be looking to build trust, bringing someone who is in the same industry, who may already have that trust, accelerates the visibility that you and I may not get if we were just in a silo and not open to collaborating with these partnerships. So, Monica, you are on point. Thank you for sharing that. Let's also take a moment here. Nicole, who is agreeing with Americo. That isn't often that it happens, but thanks for agreeing. So Nicole brings self-published authors onto her show. She has a fantastic show of her own, The Person Behind the Pen. And listen, this is a community that is contagious. Other hosts have a great tendency of supporting other hosts, and this becomes a community. And I love the fact that these events, they're not always, and in fact, they should never always be just sales pitches. Buy my services, buy my product. If you're building trust, you gotta be that social seller. You gotta play the long tail. Have reason for someone to want to reach out without forcing a product, a service, a lead magnet down their throats. Break it up, and you'd be surprised if you invest in the long game. And now, especially with on-demand content, and if you repurpose, it isn't the attendees from a live event that necessarily will reach out, but they may be the ones who refer you to someone. Hey, I was just listening to Nicole and Americo. You may want to reach out to one of them. They may be able to help you.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like what she said. So she's an author, and that's great, because you kind of want to mix with authors. But how many entrepreneurs need to hear what an author does? I don't want to write a book. I don't care whether I have AI or not. I don't want to fight with my AI the whole time I'm writing a book, because I'm getting over some emotional moment of my chapter. But she's the person behind the pen, and indie authors and everybody. You're trying to get visibility. That's what a stage does. And I would say, here's a little thing, here's a little secret. A lot of people don't always want to share. Your speakers are your best collaborators that are on your stage. Like me and you, we're both podcast hosts, summit hosts. We're collaborating right now. That's how we met. Those are the people you're going to probably do business with. The other people are kind of going to, like, shop a little bit, go into Walmart, maybe buy a pack of gum, get $20, but they go in there 2 or 3 times. they get the pack of gum and then they realize there's a shirt, or maybe they need a Pepsi, or they need something a little bit further down. And then now they've spent 500 bucks as opposed to $3. So you're moving a little bit. So you get some lurkers, you get some people that are willing to buy right away, which is so awesome, because you're supporting the community. But definitely, getting on the stage, even engaging in the audience, and that's what the speaker panels do, is engage. We share information so we can connect and collaborate with the people in the audience and show them support so they don't feel unsupported. Like Nicole was saying too, great name by the way. Hey, reach out and get out there and start talking to those people. It's just a great way to get seen and heard, especially if your host takes enough care and caution to say, hey, I want you to speak to your aligned audience.
Well, I love collaborative ideas and think I'm going to put this out there and let Nicole or anyone else who's listening run with it if they feel that it's something tangible that can be monetized or realized. I started thinking over the holidays in 2026, is there an opportunity to take the hosts and the shows that I will curate throughout the year? Because I do get asked the question, I'm sure you get asked a similar question. So what am I going to get out of this show? Especially for those who invest in a pop-up show and they want to optimize and stretch that dollar as much as possible. Think
Yeah.
about an anthology. So you hosted, or I hosted a show, or someone hosts a show and you're a guest. You've repurposed the content to the nth degree, and now you're going to be published. Your story, that narrative, is going to be part of a piece of literature where other guests come together, and all these short stories come together in a book that gets published. So that's food for thought.
Hey, I like that anthology. You're all sharing a stage. Maybe you're sharing a book. Now you're sharing the same kind of, there's some anthologies that'll just put anybody anywhere because they want to make the money. But if you're really aligned and you're looking for that, that's a great way to come in as a collaboration and everybody make a little money. Of course, you want to, give the stage host, a little bit of affiliation there, and then turn around and you're sharing with each speaker. Now they have a place. So it's a forever. They've got the video, they got the clips, they're collaborating on some lives, they're collaborating on a stage, and now they're collaborating in a book. And what a great way to really move the needle and just push it further.
So Meryl is highly recommending that we attend Nicole's events. So if you're not already connected, let's all take this opportunity, because these stages and these platforms are also here designed and curated on purpose for those of us who aren't already connected, to connect with one another and support one another's events. So thanks for mentioning that, Meryl. Now let's move on, because I have another wonderful question lined up for you. And actually, there's a few wonderful questions. At least, okay, let's not kid ourselves. I think they're wonderful. And if there are questions from the audience, then I am more than happy to park my questions aside, because I think it's more important that the audience be heard and be listened, and that we support what they're saying. Now, when it comes to people who have never hosted events, whether it's a summit or a virtual event of any kind, what's the first mindset shift that they need before they dive into going live?
So if you never done it, do it. You got to do it. You got to take the dive. And what a great question, because the other thing I will say is stop doing it yourself. A summit just because you can, and I know you realize how much goes on behind the scenes and the planning just before getting into the podcast and everything that goes on. It's really all about it takes time. It's at least in the smallest point, 250 hours that you're spending with all the paperwork, herding the cats of the speakers, getting that all together, get the video, get the tech, do the video afterwards, thank everybody, get the workflow out, on and on and on. There's this laundry list, right? And when you're starting to clean house and say, "Hey, how do I focus that?" The best thing to do is to start to get on podcast with other people, be a guest, and then start to maybe host your own podcast, or realize how it works. Yes, it's easy, but it's not simple, and it does take time. And there's a lot of in a spider web, right? There's a lot of that's going on and on and on. There's so many intricacies in that, and if you want to show up and shine, the best thing to do is to get some help, whether you pay somebody or you have some great collaborators that may help you out. Do a workshop first and get in there and say, "Hey, I'm gonna try a workshop or a mastermind," and do you need tech? Do you need somebody to support you in the chat? Because if you're watching the camera, it may be hard for you to start getting into the chat, and you may miss some really great conversation. And America, you're great with bringing up these conversations and bringing up this Q&A up here, with everybody that's so supportive in the chat. And how do you do that if you're doing it all alone, right? And you don't have to do it alone anymore. And you can try it, and you can try different portions of it. But if you're not even getting on social media and you don't want to put video out there, or do a live once in a while on a podcast, whether with by yourself or with someone else, then then let's think of why you want to take on all that work. It's great to do, but do you need to do all of it? Do you need to have 10 bedrooms in a home if it's just one of you? So look at that and just really say, get a strategy, start to strategize, and plan. What does that evolution of the journey look like?
Yeah, I totally agree. I would add, be prepared. It will be sloppy, but don't give up. Don't go into it thinking, all right, we're going to try one, and if it works, great. It's it's going to work if the goal is just to go live. That is your first step. You took your first step and you accomplished that goal. If you think the sales or the bookings are just going to pour in, they're not. This is a long-term strategy. You have to show up consistently and invest in building the trust and having the conversations. And it took me a while, and everyone who says, and I am now one of those people, you just got to do it. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the perfect tech. Listen, I got tech coming in that I bought over the holidays, and there's some shipping delays, but I'm excited to start putting things together and start using new tech. I didn't start with a full studio, but I did what people had advised me. Just get it going. Just start. And, I did the same thing. I set a goal for myself. We are going to start a school community in 2026. I'm not going to wait till June till it's up and ready and I'm comfortable with it. I launched it this week, and we're building a brand in school, no different than I built my brand on LinkedIn and my other socials. We're building this in real time. We're building this in public so that people can see what it's like to be vulnerable, to see what it's like to be authentic. And you don't need to be polished, and you don't need to be perfect to be successful and see the return on your time, effort, and energy.
That is it. It does take energy, and do it. When you decide to do a thing, right? There's a little bit of planning, and there may be a little bit of something that you're going to say, "Hey, I may need." It's not. Let's just say it's not if you'll fail. It's when you fail. And what's your plan B? How are you going to get around it? And do you have the mindset and the leadership that, in a soul-led level, to really take over on that, and to work on that? Because if you don't do it once, you never know how bad it can go, or that it might just work for you and be you might just be wonderful at it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's listen, I can talk about this for hours as to why it's the right reason and why doing it and falling on your face is perfectly okay. People will gravitate with your response, how you respond when you fail, especially when you fail in real time. How you get back up and how you get back in your lane, that sometimes is the deciding factor that someone will pick up the phone or jump in your calendar and say, and they'll tell you, this is what did it for me. The way you responded, the way you articulated yourself when things weren't going as smooth as you had anticipated. I need to work with someone who can manage themselves and help me manage myself during times like that.
Yeah, 100%. And I call things out. Hey, we're having a tech issue. Just letting people know when they fail, and I crack a few jokes, and say, hey, the AI gods are at it again. The robots are taking over. Hey, my human side is showing, or have some fun. When you were a kid and you did something crazy and you fell or skinned your knees, roller skating or skateboarding, and you're like, hey, I've got this cool scar, and you had a conversation. What a great story. Whether you're telling it on stage, writing it in a book, talking about it on a podcast, or really saying, hey, what happened to our scars and our fails, to go, what, I really learned from that thing, and then I grew from it, and here's how I did that. Now I'm a leader in my industry, and this is what I can bring for you. And you can tell funny stories, there's so much that goes on out there. I mean, today in the middle of a summit, my Wi-Fi just went out. One tower, wherever it happened, something happened. Who knew? But I knew to reboot it. My audience was cool enough to stay there. They probably didn't all notice that we rebooted it, came back on. Everybody's cool and said, hey, look what happened. I hope you guys are all back here, and call it out. Say, hey, this is what happened. And then you can all live this story together. Now it's a shared experience.
Yep. Fantastic. Now let's kind of lean into that and talk a little bit about mistakes. Like there are going to be technical mistakes that are outside of our control, like the one that you just shared. Now, when it comes to building authority online, how do summits, virtual events solve this? And I think you answered the question preemptively before I queued up the question, is just to be human. Is there anything else that you would add?
And stay calm. Don't start blaming people. But this is the other thing, that a good backup plan is that you can have all these backup plans, but good backup plan is having a team. That is the best thing you can do. So maybe you
Hmm.
can't get back into Zoom. Your tech person can get back into Zoom, or you may freeze, and everybody else is there, and you have somebody that could step up to the plate and say, "Hey, we'll be back on in a little bit." If you just sit there and stare at everybody, people get upset. They start to leave. They get mad. They'll never talk to you again. They get in their shame or whatever happens, and it goes on. But you are the expert, and you become the leader the moment you step into that and say, hey, this is my mistake. I'm owning this. This is me, whatever it was, the tech gods, Zoom reloaded. This is my thing. This is my summit. This is what happened. I take full control and ownership, and people respect that in the
Oh,
long run.
that is beautiful. Taking ownership, and I can't agree more. To start shifting and pointing fingers and shifting blame in real time, it kind of digs into one's integrity, and people will be quick to judge. Well, if this person is quick to point fingers in front of a live audience, is this really the person I want to work with? So own it, and regardless of what happens, whether it's within your control or outside of your control, yes, have a backup plan. Have someone who can fill in really quickly to eat up the dead air and come back and own it, and you will be respected for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then talk to people afterwards and say, "Hey, man, were you there when the summit totally failed? And this is what happened. This is how I fixed it. This is how I became the empowered person." And now it's a marketing tool. It all goes back to marketing, and this is what stages do for you. And you step into the leadership. Gosh, there's enough people out there blaming everybody anyway. You did this, you did that, blah blah blah. Lord knows we don't need to hear that. People are starting to get attracted again to leaders and people who take action, but people who take ownership. And what a great time for coaches and consultants to go, yeah, this is me stepping up and really leveling up, and everybody along with you.
Absolutely. Listen. I'm so glad that we're aligned here. I have a tendency and a knack for picking great conversations, and each question kind of fits in so nicely. So it's thank you for sharing. Our thoughts are aligned. Our audience are aligned with their comments. I appreciate those of you who are engaging and conversing in the chat. Continue to do so. If you have questions for Nicole or myself throughout the hour, feel free to jump in, drop them. If you're catching us on replay and have a question, don't hesitate. Drop your comments, and I'm always engaging with my content even after a live event. Now we're almost at the top of the hour, so I'm going to speed things up here and ask you a question. When it comes to success stories, where do summits completely change the trajectory of someone's business?
So that can be a really technical question. So my critical thinking mind and my nerd comes out, and it's like there's a lot of places where it can change that. So uh, gosh, I've got 101 answers. So would you shoot that one at me again? Because I kind of want to really digest into it.
Yeah, so let's talk about sharing a success story from one of your previous summits where it helped change completely the trajectory of that business or person that you were working with and their business.
So if I'm looking at a success story for someone else,
Yes.
because we've had so many, but one of the great success stories, what I'll say is it's that is I hosted a summit for someone, so I did the whole package and set it up for them, and they were ready to really get out of online business. They had a business, they had a brick and mortar business that they did for years. They're very successful, 6 or 7 businesses, a very successful front facing person. But the online thing, kind of the vibe online, and a lot of the weirdness that you have to trudge through, and the garbage that you have to clean up, they weren't ready for that. But they really were very like, you got to do A, B, and C, or we're not doing a summit together. If you don't promise that, I'm not gonna do it, or I'm not gonna be happy. And I had already known this person. I know people who had worked with this person, and I have been in networking with them, so I already knew their character, and I understood the truth of why they were feeling that way. But what I will say is they're really learning, and you talked about having a school, so getting on a school platform and really honing into a group, is that they've now got into a group, they've now collaborated, they've kept their podcast and up the game and started charging in different places, and adding packages together, so it's cyclical, so the message comes back. And we had talked about that before, is comes back full cycle at the beginning of the show, is to say now it's just a smooth wheel, and it's not this, there's no squeaky wheel, all the moving parts are working together. And they were pretty much ready to throw in the towel and say, this just isn't working. But we did a lot of strategy and a lot of working hand, sometimes hand holding, but a lot of guidance. And you know what? A lot of patience and forgiveness to understand where they were at. And they're just excited to be online and say, hey, now I can help with my systems. I can really work and focus on my clients and not only on my message, but the messaging is always on target wherever they're at. So they love to be on the stage and have the speaker panels and do the interviews or let someone else do it. But it's really changed the trajectory for 2026 that they're still here, and that they're working with people and that they use that as their message, right? Like, hey, I was ready to give up.
Yeah.
I was ready to throw in the towel, but this happened, and the event happened, and there was a few hiccups, but we were able to really maintain and have a safety net to get over that and get over that hump and work well together and be a team, but also develop a team through the speakers, and the speakers felt welcomed. They felt that had all the tools that they needed as well. So it actually, more built a group and a group trust. So there's a big hub that you can help and build a community and a group through getting on a stage.
So let's lean into and take what you just said and shared and lean into what Nicole is sharing with us. So she appreciates the conversation around summits. She's done a few, but hasn't seen the ROI on her energy and doesn't know if it's worth it. She believes she may have, I guess, hosted the wrong summit themes. Let's talk about that because some of us sometimes rush into something. Hey, this is a great idea. Put little time into planning, and then it falls flat, or it doesn't evolve into what people had anticipated evolving in. And Nicole, feel free to add additional context to the comments while I let Nicole, our guest, jump into that.
Yeah, what a great, and thanks for sharing that, because what happens is this goes back to what we were talking before. You want the planning, the assessment, and the strategy. And we have a way that things should fit, and then we go do it ourselves. And if you start building a house and you think you could do a little bit of an electrical, you could nail a few pieces of wood together, but you don't realize you need the wood glue. You don't realize that you need to wire the entire house and not just one plug in your house. So maybe you got a cool wall that you built and then there's one plug. The rest of the house isn't going to be congruent, and it's not going to work in that form or fashion. So you need a good foundation, but you need a good team, because there might be things that you aren't able to detach from, or and see, kind of like Monday morning armchair quarterbacking. Right? We can all do that on a Netflix. We know, hey, that's the bad guy. He's coming after you. He's the guy with a chainsaw. Why are you keep going back to his house? That's kind of what happens when we don't plan. It's what happens when we overthink and we don't work with people that are experts in their field that can help us see some things that we might not see and really go, hey, is that really your goal to get one person? Is that really your goal just to help one person? How about you help a million people and change the community by changing your message? And also she talked about ROI. You don't get a good return on your investment even if you make money and you're just exhausted. Events can be exhausting, but if you're exhausted and you're just so overwhelmed that you hate it and you hate everybody that showed up, then maybe that's the time to go, okay, what really happened? And look at that and say, okay, let me unpack this like my shadow self and do a little work here, and look at it and take it apart a little bit, unpack the goal. Did you charge for a VIP upgrade? Did you have sponsors on there? Did you maybe charge your speakers? Because people take advantage of free things. We're both professionals, right? I'm not going to come and not show up to your event, run in late, have dogs and cats running in the background. That's not fair. So who are you bringing in as well? So you got to look at the stage or a podcast like your business. If you had a business, would you let someone come to work, that is supposed to work on the computer and take client calls in a quiet a place in a professional manner, and bring their children, bring their cats and dogs into the cubicle, run over stuff, knock the chairs down? Probably not. So who are we bringing on the stage, and are they aligned? And where are you charging? What are you charging for? And what does that workflow look like before the event, during the event, and after the event to consistently engage? So we got to look at that too, because if you just say, "Hey, come on my stage," and then just whenever email out to people, then there's no skin in the game. And in this day and age, we have to start looking at it more like a business. And if you feel bad about charging, what I will say is do a little for a cause marketing, support an event. Maybe it's a nonprofit. Maybe you want to help puppies and kittens, or you want to get shoes for kids in Zimbabwe, whatever the is, or maybe you want to plan a trip for your family. What's the win? What's the goal for you at the end, and what does it look like in your business? So it's a huge, big picture that you really need to get deep into the Picasso.
Okay, so Nicole is clarifying. She didn't host. Maybe I misread it. She presented in a few, but still, the response and the explanation you shared was on point. So it fits nicely. So thanks for clarifying that, Nicole. Kind of playing a tennis match, Nicole, just going back and forth here.
It's one name to remember, makes it easy, right?
That's awesome. All right, now your thoughts. This isn't going to be a speed round of questions, but your thoughts, because I get asked the question, someone, hey, can I charge for my first event? It's like, no, you shouldn't. Focus. My thought is focus on, guest on a few, build that presentation muscle, get comfortable talking, build that trust, and once you've earned that trust, you may want to invest in a few free events of your own before you go full guns a blazing. Hey, come listen to me for however many dollars and spend the afternoon or an hour with me. It's like, I don't know you. Why should I separate my dollars when you haven't given me any reason? What's the advice that you have for people who are anxious to monetize?
Well, there's different ways we monetize, and if you've got to look at the full scope. Are you maybe you're holding an event and maybe you don't want to charge speakers? Okay. But if you're paying to run an event, there has to be a little bit. Maybe you affiliate with your speakers, and you know that somebody's going to be there tomorrow, and they're still going to have that. That is an evergreen coaching thing that you can trust that they're going to share that and market it, and you get a cut of it. There's ways to do that. I got a school platform, you got a school platform. It's free, but there's paid memberships. Maybe you're getting paid from those memberships, and those are the people, or maybe you're coaching people and you're making money off your clients, and now you're offering your clients who are paying you a stage. If we start to look at where does the money go, so we're always taught on TikTok and the conspiracy things that trace the money. Well, trace the money on how you're getting paid. If you have somebody that can sponsor you, and in that manner, maybe run a commercial, have a commercial. I do commercials, so I can give those to my sponsors in a package. I make money that way. Maybe there is something, and remember the marketing. Don't just give a free gift and not follow up, because a follow up is where it's at.
That's
I'm
right.
not a you shouldn't charge anywhere, and I'm definitely not you should charge for everything. So there's a bit of a funnel, and so as we were talking about before, there's a lot that goes on in that web that we're weaving, right? And who are we catching in it, and where are we catching? What's the ultimate goal of the catch? Do we just want to catch any old fly, or do we want to catch several flies? What are we looking at, and where can we make a buck? Basically, if you look at it very simply, there's just different avenues to kind of go down.
I completely agree. It's a wide spectrum. I always encourage people to look at it from a marketing lens first. You want to build awareness, consideration, and then once you've gained that awareness and people are now considering you through the trust that you've built, you're now in a position to look at different monetizable events of some kind, whether it's through sponsorship or whether it's through a paywall to get into an event. So we are at the top of the hour. I want to take a moment here to thank you, my guest, as well as everyone who showed up to support us live and engage in the conversation, in the comments across the social platforms that you're tuning in from. Thank you so much. Before we wrap things up, I'd love to give you an opportunity to share with our community where people can get a hold of you and find you.
Well, the easiest way is on LinkedIn, and this is where we're streaming to. So I'm on here. Please, I'd love to hear from you guys, talk to you guys, get to know you. Everybody needs a spotlight. So LinkedIn is the best place to find me. Just where we're streaming, you'll find me. If you can't find me, you can always ask Americo, but that's the easiest, simplest place, and that's where I like to play because your audience is just very professional. They have great questions. They're critical thinkers. I love it, and those are my peeps, so to say. I'm a super entrepreneur, and I love to support you with your business growth and the community.
Fantastic. I appreciate that. So let's give each other a plug on our school communities. Where can people find you on school? What is your school called?
Sure, it's called Voice Lab. Voice Lab. So, yep, it's a lab for the voice and visibility. So, just Voice Lab, as simple as that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And for those who are hearing this for the first time, I launched Your Stage on school, and I look forward to building a community in school that will help amplify people's voices and so that they can be seen, heard, and remembered, but amplify their voice, their vision, and give them a stage that they can be remembered. So for now, I want to once again thank everyone who showed up. If I missed any comments, rest assured I'm going to jump in and engage in the chat. But for now, we're going to shut things down. And until next time, thanks again, Nicole. Bye for now, everyone.
Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you.